Good morning. Good morning. Welcome as we go through our auditing workflow. My name is Jennifer Robinson. I am a licensed CPA in the state of Missouri. I also proudly serve as the CEO and president of Turner Business Solutions, which is a full service accounting firm where we offer accounting services, tax, audit, as well as payroll services. Welcome to our presentation today, where we will talk about the client ready financial audit using Financial Sense and how we'll go from the data that is provided by the client all the way down to when we, as accountants, CPAs, and firms, issue our
Thanks, everyone. We're just figuring out what this glitch is. Give us one more moment to be able to bring Jennifer back on stage. Thank you very much for your patience. It will just be a minute. Okay, go ahead and try screen sharing. And we just lost you for a second. I think it was because I brought the screen share over.
no problem at all. All righty. Can everyone see my screen okay? All righty. So if you work in auditing of any kind, you already know there is a lot of information involved in the auditing process and a lot of steps. So our firm uses Financial Sense for all of the services that we provide. And we found a way to navigate through the audit process using this software and this accounting management practice software to make it easier for us to ensure. All right. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to try it again today. So, as you know, when you are working through an audit, there's a lot of information that you have to gather from your clients. And one of the things is that audits tend to stall as we're waiting on clients and not receiving everything that we're requesting. You have the emails going back and forth. Things become confusing, the file names get a little thrown off and you're not sure if you received some of the information. However, we have rectified this by using the client task in Financial Sense. So if you will allow me to go through the workflow that we use, not only to get our provided by client list out, to execute our field work, to review our steps and do our sign offs, also to send our reporting to and closing and archiving the audit. We do it all using Financial Sense, and it also helps us when we have to do peer reviews as well with our state societies. As you know, when you are doing an audit, it's all about documentation, documentation, documentation. Alrighty, so let's first start with what we do in that planning phase. So here we have been engaged to do an audit for Free Candy Apple Inc. Okay, this is our client profile here for Free Candy Apple Inc. Our contact that we're working with, her name is Angela Claus. We have her contact information here. And we have set up our project because we have had our initial client meeting. So once we have our initial client meeting, we set up the project knowing that we're going to send our engagement letter or proposal, as some call it, through Financial Sense. Okay. So as we go through our initial client meeting, and we discuss what is the purpose of the audit, if we're doing a full financial audit, if we're looking at the internal controls, we click it off. Then we use Financial Sense to send over our proposal for the client to sign that they agree to the terms and conditions of the services that we are providing. Once that is completed, we click that off as well. Once we do that, we draft and share our document request list. In the auditing world, that's called the PBC, aka provided by client. Okay. And can you all see my screen? Okay.
Yeah, we're just looking for your screen, but all of you can get Jennifer's financial audit in the link below.
Okay. Can you still see it? Can you see it now? Awesome, awesome, awesome. All righty. So we do our initial meeting. We send out our proposal letter. Now we are sending our document request list. As I stated, is also called the PBC. What we have here is a comprehensive list of pretty much anything we will need as we are completing the audit. So you ask for your year end and the interim financial statements. We request that detailed general ledger for the audit period, the balance, the trial balance, any contact information so we can do the bank confirmations with the various banks and loan institutions that the client use. We can also ask for an age account receivables, accounts payable aging, outstanding payables. We can have them submit bank statements. And this is a way for our clients to communicate with us and provide this information securely. We also request the bank reconciliations, the fixed asset registers. You're able to request all of these things without having to send an unsecured email or even send out an Excel spreadsheet. We have this template available in Financial Sense publicly so you can use it. If you're working with a company that manufactures items, you can also request the inventory count sheets, the supporting documentation for any significant inventory purchases. You can also communicate with the client saying that I just need this part of the list now, and we'll send an updated request as we go along by securely sending this document request using Financial Sense. You could also ask for any contracts, agreements, the revenue by the product of or service line. It all depends on the type of client that you're auditing. You can adjust this list as needed. As you know, Free Candy Apple Inc., they are a nonprofit organization. So they do not manufacture anything and they do not sell anything. So I'm able to adjust this list from this template based on the client type. Okay. So, accruals and expenses and payroll are extremely important. And some payroll reports, it reflects a lot of identifying information of the employee. So we want to be able to use a secure link in order to send this information in. This is not information that you want to send via email, okay? Since it's a nonprofit, I would definitely want the copy of the board minutes and also all of the year end tax forms, legal agreements, loan agreements, amortization schedules. So, this is an extremely comprehensive list that you can adjust. I try to think of any and everything, regardless of the industry type, that you would need in order to run a successful audit and not to have to keep going back to the client for different things. One of the things I love about Financial Sense, this is just your preliminary list here of the things that you will request from the client. You also have the ability to add some things. So, say for instance, that you want to do a sample. Okay, so you've looked at all the prepaid expenses and you have some questions, or you looked at all of the payroll journals and you have some questions and you want some additional backup. You can always, after the client has sent all of this information in, you can always go in and request more information. So as you can see, I click add client task and I can securely request documents and have it automatically uploaded to Financial Sense. But do not fret. If your firm uses OneDrive or uses Google Drive or Dropbox, you can provide the link to that system and it can securely upload it directly to the system on your behalf. My firm, we pretty much upload all of our documents to Financial Sense. And I will show you that Files tab in a second as we go through the process. All I have to do is tell the client what I am requesting. I may be requesting, please send 501c3 letter. Okay. I could be requesting that. I may want to confirm that this client is truly a 501c3 designated by the IRS because they may only be registered with the state and did not take that extra step to register and request 501c3 designation with the IRS. So I can request that as well and create a client task and send it directly to the client. Another thing I love about this, you can schedule it out and send automatic reminders. That's my favorite thing. I don't have to keep going in and out to request the to request reminders and hey, I haven't received this. It will automatically remind the client what they have not checked out. So say for instance I've received the first three things and the client hasn't said anything else, it will automatically remind them on everything that is unchecked until we receive all of the requested documentation. Okay, let's go back through. So we now we've received everything. Okay, so from the client standpoint, they have checked out all the boxes in their client task, and we're going to pretend like I checked off all the boxes for the sake of time. I'll check off that we have received everything. So now I can do my risk assessment and I can review all of the prior year audit work papers because that's one of the things that I would request. Hey, if this is not your first time receiving an audit, I want to see what the predecessor auditor said about the firm. Did they have any concerns? Were there any adjusting entries? It allows me to make sure that those adjusting entries have been booked into the system. It makes sure that I can see what type of opinion was received. And it also helps me to create my preliminary analytical procedures as I go through the audit. Okay. So I've reviewed the prior year audit work papers and I have looked at I've created my preliminary analytical procedures, and I can go right back down to my client task and saying, hey, I have my sample. This is the way we're going to go through the audit. I can go right back through and continue to request information. As we schedule the field work, this makes sure that I stay in line and do everything according to generally accepted auditing principles. You want to ensure that you're not missing a step at all. So I will schedule my field work. And since COVID in the auditing world, more and more people are performing audits virtually. So your field work can either be in person, virtual, or hybrid. And it allows me to meet with the team and say, hey, this person, you'll work on these testings. I can assign, payroll to another person on the team. I can assign the review process to another person on the team. This reminds me that I need to make sure that I'm assigning every part of the audit out. And once that's completed, I check it off. Okay. So now it's time to get down to the nitty gritty and start doing the field work executions. And we want to ensure that as we're doing that field work execution, that we are preventing one, the audit from stalling, and that preventing that there is no confusion for the client with the complex emails and our accounting and auditor language. We want to ensure that the checklists are nice, concise, and complete. We want to ensure that they have a place where they can track the status of the audit and we can track the status of the audit. We want to ensure we don't have to manually chase anything else. We want to ensure that we don't have inconsistencies with our, handoff of work and data and information, and then items just get lost in all the clutter of confusion. We want to make sure that this is organized and that the entire team is aware of where we stand within the audit process. We also want to ensure that we are timely in the completion of the audit. Time is of the essence because time can affect your revenue. The longer that it takes that for you to complete an audit, the longer time it takes for you to reach your revenue goals. So you want to be able to ensure that you're reaching those revenue goals by making this audit as clean, neat, and organized as possible, getting them in, ensuring they're accurate, getting your reports and opinions out, and moving on to the next. So we have some subtasks here where it reminds me of every single thing I need to test because when you're moving and grooving, you're usually not just working on one audit at a time. You're working on several audits. So this ensures that hey, let me run my revenue test. Let me do my AR test, my expense test. I'm testing every part of the financial statements and the processes that have been performed by the company. As you know, in auditing, management, they assert that they are responsible for the accuracy of the financials. And our job is to test and ensure that everything that they assert is in fact correct. We're not providing 100% assurance that there's no fraud or anything like that, but we want to make sure that we're doing our part to ensure that it's not anything, a little questionable going on. Okay. When you go through audits, there are so many different things that you can test and look for just to ensure that if it's a nonprofit, that the public use of funds is going in accordance to IRS standards for 501c3, that grant funders can depend on the opinion that you provide. So we will perform all of these various testings, okay? And then after we do the testing and make sure that the financial statements are indeed accurate, we want to verify that internal controls are in place. That is so important. As you know, you don't want just one person, say for instance, in the accounts payable process. It's not good to just have one person receiving the bills, reviewing the bills, approving the bills, and then paying the bills. That leaves too much room for one error and also room for fraudulent activity. So we want to ensure that our clients that we're serving, they have what's called segregation of duties. They have at least one person doing the review process and another person doing the approval process. Okay, so we want to verify that there are internal controls. So one of the things we can request is, hey, can I have a copy of your accounting policy? May I have a copy of your operations policy? And we can request that right down here in our client task. So even though this is the preliminary list, as I stated earlier, you can adjust this and continue to add to it as you go through the auditing process. Okay. So we verified the audit internal controls, they look pretty good. Okay. And now we go into the prepare audit documentation. So you want to ensure that you're using this here file tab. You can use it to keep all of your files. So here in the client files, it will include everything that is uploaded by your particular client. And you can also edit it in your Adobe, or if you want to print it off and write on it. I know some people still love the manual way where you can number your work papers. My preference of numbering work papers is through the naming of the files, and Financial Sense allows you to rename files. So you may want to name it revenue testing work paper 1, revenue testing work paper 1.1. So you have flexibility in creating your own filing system, okay, as you receive those documents. Let's go back here. So now we're getting ready to prepare the documentation. We've looked at the document. We're getting ready to prepare it. And as we prepare it, we do our draft documents. Okay. So we prepared all of our documentation, we've renamed it, we've ordered it, and all those things to make it easy to flow. Because if you are auditor, you know that a peer review is coming on the work that you've completed. So you want to make it easy for your peer reviewer to follow your thought process and your workflow that you work through while preparing the audit. So then it goes up to the audit manager, and you can use Financial Sense to upload it and share it with the audit manager, and they will be able to see all of the documents that the client upload. And you can also upload the files that you have prepared as well. So you don't have to send a link or anything. You don't have to send an email or anything regarding the process that you have worked. You could also do a team chat with your team members where you can tag the team member and say, hey, audit manager, I am sending this over to you for your review of the work that we've done and the execution of the field work. You may also chat with your client through the process, and you can create various topics. So you may want to say revenue questions, and you can send the client a chat, and they will know that that particular chat is related to revenue questions. You can create another one for expense questions, and that way you will have a working timeline and tracker within the system of all of the communication that you've had with the client. Say, for instance, you do have to email the client. You can email the client and track the client's emails and communication directly within the system. So everything related to the client whether it's the 2024 audit or the upcoming 2025 audit. Everything you need to review is right here in one place. And all you have to do is go through the tabs. You can also create notes. Notes are pretty much for just the client in general. You can create notes specifically about the audit that you're working on during this time frame, or notes so you can be reminded of what to look for in the future. Maybe you saw some fraudulent activity in the audit. That is something that you can notate, because if you're engaged again, you want, say, for instance, you hire someone new, you want that new person, the new auditor that you've onboarded, to kind of be able to follow and know exactly what has been going on during the course of the audit process, whether it's previous audits or new audits. So there are several ways that you can communicate, not only with your team, but also with the client, and keep it all in one place. Can somebody say, let's save the emails? Let's not do all the emails. We got it all right here, okay? All right, so we're in the review phase, and the audit manager has reviewed everything, okay? And they check off on the review. As you can see right here, I have assigned everything to myself. But in normal situations, you have a secondary person looking at some things, and then it can go up to the senior review. You can adjust this according to how your audit firm works, so you can make edits to the template to make it work for your firm, because some firms are two-person firms, some firms are one-person firms, so you want to ensure that you're making it work for you. That's the beauty of Financial Sense. It's customizable to what you need. Okay. So now it's time to issue the report. Okay. So we've done the engagement setup, we've planned our audit, we've looked at the risk factors. Say, for instance, as you know, Free Candy Apple is in its first, we're going to say it's in its first year of operation. So that is a risk. So we have notated that risk, which expanded the scope of what we will audit and caused me to ask for more stuff because it's their very first audit. We've done the field work, we've done the review, and now we're in the reporting phase. So we have drafted our draft audit report. And sometimes when you do your draft audit report, your client will come back with some questions or some explanations and things like that. So you will save your draft audit report here. You'll upload it here and you'll say, I'm going to securely send my draft audit report to the client. And you can say, please review draft audit report. And it allows the client to comment on the report within Financial Sense. So I'm going to add, please, if I can type today, and I'll pretend like a file is here, and I can send it off. And say, for instance, the client, they're like, I don't, you're giving me what we call a modified opinion. So in audit, you want to either, unqualified, qualified, also known as a modified opinion. Um, or you can do a disclaimer of opinion where you don't state an opinion at all. So let's just say unqualified is a good one. We're given a qualified opinion because we have some questions and some concerns, and it look like it's been some sneaky business going on. We send the draft audit report. The client can, it'll show that they can comment on their side, but the client can comment and say, I don't agree with this report. You want to make sure that you have yourself covered and you're using this as your communication source, your communication pathway with the client. Even if the client calls you, you can go to the client profile and you can place activity And you can say that the client contacted you on this day and the client was not happy. Client was not happy about unqualified opinion. Okay. And it will show that the client's attitude was unhappy. Say, for instance, the client is so upset, they're like, hey, I need to get a second opinion or something like that. You can notate all of that in here, okay, to ensure that you are communicating effectively and that you're tracking every single interaction. So you can track how the client feels, their attitude, and it dates it, it puts a time stamp on it and the works. So, say for instance, the client is not too happy about the draft audit report, and part of it is because they just didn't send the information. I'm not going to keep chasing you for the information you need for me to complete. I asked you for all the payroll journals for 2024, and you only gave me half. So as an auditor will assume, well, maybe you only ran payroll for half the year. Okay. Because auditors don't have time to chase down the information. So as you're working with the client, they say, oh no, we did run payroll for the other half of the year. Here's the information now. So that's one of the reasons why we do the draft audit report, to give the client the opportunity to see the opinion that we're producing based on the information that was provided. Okay. You'll also collect your management response to the audit that I just talked about. They're not happy and they say they did run it and they provide the information. And then after we review the information that they provide again, we might change our opinion from qualified to unqualified. And remember, unqualified is a good opinion, okay? And then after we change our opinion, we finalize the audit report and we go into the closing stages where we conduct a closing meeting, making sure that we are communicating in terms that the client can understand and tell them all of the findings that we found during the audit process. We'll archive the work papers via Financial Sense, and then we will do a post audit review with the team. So let's do some questions and answers real quick. As you see, as I completed it, it gave me the nice little confetti to let me know, whew, it's all done. So let's look and see if we have any questions at this time. Okay. Have you had any pushback from your clients to use the portal without the ability to log in? So Financial Sense is passwordless and it's based on, and I want to make sure that I'm understanding your question correctly. It's based on the client contact email. So, for instance, for our client, if you go to her profile, if the email to their client is not I like sweets at fcainc.org, they will not be able to log in. So we ensure that we gather that information through our client onboarding process to have at least one contact email so they can be able to enter their email. Once they enter the email, it will send them a code to verify that they have access, and then they'll enter that code or they click that link and it will give them access to the portal. I hope I answered your question. If not, let me know. Okay. We have another question. Do you find that the, I'm assuming, term, proposal, or engagement letter generates more acceptance from clients? Actually, it would be yes, because for some reason, the word contract is a little scary for people when you use the word contract. So when you say, hey, I'm proposing that you pay me this much for me to do this, yes, they're more apt to accept it. And they also like the word engagement letter because it feels like that they have a level of partnership with you. So when we speak to our clients in our firm operates from a partnership standpoint anyway. We're not the typical accountants. I'm a person, I love to have fun, I love to laugh. We almost become like family with those that we work with. We ask how are your children doing, things like that. So if you change kind of like that terminology away from something so standardized, such as contracting, use something that's more encouraging and shows a level of partnership, they will be more apt to accept it. And it's all in your presentation. We have to do away with the boring accounting stereotype. I am not the typical accountant, like I said. If you come with me, we're going to laugh. We're going to explain things in a way that you understand. I will never speak over my client's head and use all the fancy accounting terminology that I know and that I love. I want to ensure that when my client reads their financial statement, they know how well their business is doing or if the business needs a level of improvement. Let's see. All right, I think I answered the question about the pushback from clients to use the portal. And I have another question from James. We have already built an extensive methodology in Asana. Does Financial Sense connect to Asana for template to Asana data exchange? So that is not a question that I can answer because we have Davita here who can answer that question.
Yeah, we do not have an integration with Asana, but the great thing about Financial Sense is if you have a spreadsheet of your steps and action items, those can easily be copy and pasted into a template in Financial Sense. You can also use our AI integration when you're creating a template, say what you're looking for, and then you don't have to start from scratch because it will create multiple steps. I want to encourage all the attendees. We have 60 of you here. If you got value out of Jennifer's a walkthrough of her a beautiful audit review. Please put your questions in the Q&A, put comments in the chat. We still have about 10 minutes or so, just under 10 minutes to go. So I'm going to pop back and I'll be in the chat answering the financial sense questions.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So, how many people who are on the line, if you could put in the chat whether you have used Financial Sense for any of your workflows at all. So, if you've used it for accounting, for tax, for onboarding, because I would love to walk you through this part of Financial Sense where we talk about the client dashboard. All right, we have people who use it for bookkeeping. I use it for bookkeeping, accounting, and tax as well. We have a couple of people who are no. So let me help let you know how great Financial Sense is. So my firm has been using Financial Sense for a little bit over a year. We have tried things like Trello. We looked at things like ClickUp, and it was just too clunky and messy. As we have about over 100 just accounting clients we serve. And then when you look at the tax clients, we have about 400 tax clients. And then you have your auditing clients and you have your payroll clients. It was becoming way, way too much for our team of 5 individuals. So I searched far and wide. No, no lie, guys. I found out about Financial Sense on a Reddit post, believe it or not. And I began to check it out and I did the 14-day trial, and my director of operations who work alongside me, we were the guinea pigs for the firm, and we added a few clients in, and we have some really cool clients that helped us test it out as well. When I tell you it has saved us so much time, even in the auditing world, it has cut our audit time down immensely because you don't have all the emails going back and forth. You can access it from your phone, you can access it from your iPad. You can track all of the projects that you have for awesome. You have all the projects that you have for your clients. So I have clients who do accounting with us, tax with us, and payroll. You're able to tag everything that you do for the client. You're able to track, like, say, for instance, if something is kind of held up, it has a tracker inside of it that tells you you're 62% of the way finished with this project as well. So you're able to track all your projects here. You can see all of the notes that you've made as it relates to your client. You can see your client's contact information. Um, Back in the day, remember we used to use the Rolodex to kind of find our client's number? It's all here on one screen. You can see what type of, you can notate what type of entity the client is, whether it's an individual, nonprofit, for profit, LLC, S Corp. You can also track the year end. For our individuals, when we do tax, the formation date is the birthday. So, say for instance, you use something like MailChimp and you want to be able to automatically send a birthday card to all of your clients. You can use that formation date, upload it up, and then you can automatically like start sending communication to your clients. It also integrates with QuickBooks. I don't know if the people who are doing monthly accounting, if they know that it integrates with QuickBooks and you can link your account, your client's QuickBooks directly to Financial Sense. You can also look at the transaction. And recently, today, they announced that they now have a month end close process that you can do right here in the portal. You can see the recent documents that your client uploaded. You could also see the recent activities. This works pretty much as an audit log. So, say for instance, you have a team and somebody accidentally deletes something and they're like, I didn't delete it. You can go here and see what happened. It's excellent. You can also see the outstanding task that your client has. We also have like the Google Workspace. So you can add links to your Google Workspace, whatever other resources that you have that you use, what other systems that you use. However, for me and my firm, Financial Sense has replaced about 4 different systems for us. Okay. I'm telling you the truth here. Say for instance, you have clients that own multiple businesses. You can notate the relationship. So, say for instance, Angela Claus also owns Free Candy Apple LLC. You can notate that here by adding the relationship, selecting the related client, and saying owner or something like that. So you can connect the various clients because we have some clients that own 5 different registered businesses that have 5 different accounting structures related to it. So don't just use it for auditing, you can use it for any type of accounting. All right, we got Miss Davita back.
I'm back. We had a question that I'll show on screen. And while you
Yes.
answer this question, we're also going to run a poll. So um, let's go ahead with Jason's question. The firm I work for is
Uh,
just in financial sense. What is your favorite feature, Jennifer? And then right after this, we'll run the poll. Okay.
Absolutely. My favorite feature, Jason, is actually the payments free feature. So I was chasing down payments a lot from clients. I was using QuickBooks actually to send my invoices out, and I had auto reminders and things like that. However, with the payments feature now, I have saved money because the payment fees are less than what QuickBooks were. I could also collect payment upon acceptance of a proposal, aka an engagement letter. So it's actually helping the cash flow of our firm significantly. I don't have to send the emails to clients say, "Hey, I'm in need of your payment. Can you provide a status?" So we use it for our billing, engagement letters, reportings, timekeeping, to track our clients, to email for all of our workflows. We literally use Financial Sense for everything. And it's nice, clean, and the updates and upgrades just keep coming. I hope that answers your question. We're going to hand it back over to Davida for our poll. All righty. So, do you want to see a personalized demo of Financial Sense? I hope that you do. It will change the trajectory of your firm. It will cut out all of the chaos. It will cut out all of the noise. My team and I, we were working 16-hour days at one point, and that includes even during our busy tax season. This tax season, I was not up to midnight on April 15th filing tax returns because I was able to track and monitor and collect information from my clients in a more organized and strategic way. It was completely amazing. The clients loved the chat feature. It actually helped me out even with my phone because I had a lot of clients texting and calling, but now they use the chat feature, which also gives us a sense of being advanced in technology. Technology is where we are right now, and we need to use it to our advantage to increase our bottom lines, to increase our revenue, to increase our communication with our clients. I urge you today to consider Financial Sense as your accounting practice management software. You can be a solo firm, or you can even be a team. My entire team loves it, and it has changed their entire work life. I hope you give it a try today. All right, I'm going to look up some more questions. Do we have any other questions?
Let's see. I think we've got through. If there's any more questions, we have just 3 minutes left, so we can take two more questions, well, maybe one, for Jennifer. And she's just done such an incredible job being able to walk you through the different things her firm has used that's allowed her to scale and have that sense of calm. It's been a really good day so far. What have you all been learning from this session? Put it in the chat before we head off.
I hope that means that I explained everything so well that you don't have questions.
I think so. Honestly, I think people are thinking about their second coffee. I think they're thinking about what booth they're going to be going to. And
Yeah.
there's just so much value in WorkflowCon and being able to see behind the curtain into somebody else's firm what they're able to do and what you're able to do with that information. I see the comments coming in, super informative. Really grateful for your work. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really, really appreciate it. We're gonna head off in just 2 minutes. So if you have anything else,
Just got a question. When a client asks for a chat, do they schedule it or is it immediate? It is immediate. And so even when a client sends us a chat, we have it turned on that it will notify us via email. You can also see, let me share my screen. I don't want us to run out of time here. There's also a notification section as well. As you can see, mine has been going off because I've been in WorkflowCon for the past 2 days. So but there is a notification section here. You also can turn it that you can see those chats come through and be notified via email.
one thing that I'm really grateful for, Jennifer, is that you've been such an incredible work champion as part of the Financial Sense community. And if you all want to find your community, you can join the Financial Sense user group, and you can also join the different communities in the booth section. So in your schedule, you're going to see multiple booths, and those are all places where you can find other firm owners and colleagues that can help you in your work as you choose to scale the way you want. So I'm going to say thank you very much, everyone. We're going to end it here, and we hope to see you in the community market hall. So see you later.
See you later.